The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Chaos Theory Podcast. If you don't know by now, you ain't been paying attention. Please start paying attention. My name is Mr. Chaos. I'm a creator, curator, founder of the Chaos Theory Podcast. Tonight, I have a really special guest I'm very, very excited to have on. I got a chance to go to Dallas for a Pele Pro show, and I got to see this dude just tear the fucking house down with Savage Gent, Victor Benjamin. And to my surprise, they put them on first. And holy fuck did it set the tone for the night. And the only match that caught up, that stayed up with this match was Josh Alexander versus Izzy James. Those are the only two matches that were 5-star on that card for me. So tonight, my guest, the Young Gun. You've seen him on AEW. You've seen him all over Texas Indies. You've seen him all over the Indies. He's an up-and-coming superstar. The Young Gun, Chandler Hopkins. Welcome to the show, good sir.
What's up, baby? How are you, man? You doing good?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for taking your time out. You guys who don't know, Chandler is on Twitch now. We're just talking about it. So look up Chandler Hopkins. What's your Twitch channel?
We are live on Twitch right now at Captain_Pew_. Captain is not the full captain. It's the abbreviation, CAPT.
Sweet. So, yeah, Chandler's up on Twitch streaming right now. We're up on Twitch streaming right now. You guys feel free to invade Chandler's stream and let him, show him all the love. So we don't have a whole lot of time with Chandler. He's got other stuff he's got to do. But what I want to get into is, let's talk about how you got into being a fan of the business.
Really, whenever I was younger, I was about 12 years old when my stepdad kind of came into the picture. My mom raised me and my brother by herself, really, for the better part of my 12 years and his 10. And he came in, and up until that point, my mom was like really G-rated with things. We were only allowed to watch like very G-rated television. But whenever he came around, he was a wrestling fan. So mom worked nights at the hospital, and when mom wasn't home, what she didn't know didn't hurt her, and we got to watch wrestling with dad. So that was about 2000 to 2001 time whenever I finally started watching wrestling. And it was during the perfect time for me because it was The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Attitude Era. So it was a really cool time for me to get into it because I got captivated with the storytelling of wrestling, with the reactions that people give you, not just because of what you're doing in the ring, but just from coming through the curtains. So I think The Rock is really what got me interested in being like, yo, wrestling could be really fun because he's such a when he comes out of the curtain to come on stage, when he's coming out of the gorilla, everyone it's an eruption. It's just because he's such a captivating person. He moves an eyebrow and people give another yell. Like, that is what drew me to wrestling, and ever since I've just been in love with it.
Hell yeah. I'm a little bit older than you, so I'll go back just a couple years further. But it's the same thing for me. Like, for me, it was WrestleMania 3, Savage and Steamboat. My grandmother had that on a VHS cassette tape, and she, I was pretty much the same way. My dad was a pastor, so we didn't watch wrestling at home. It didn't happen. But we would go to grandma's house, and grandma was a wrestling fanatic. So I'm talking about, I got introduced to Nick Bockwinkel and Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body. And then, the guys that I like, Sting, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, early The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold. So yeah, that was the '90s, the late '90s, early 2000s. That's probably the pinnacle of where the wrestling biz has been. So out of that, who are the guys that you know you sat back and you were like, that's who I want to emulate. That's who I want to be like.
There was a lot of guys in that era that was just really popular, doing the thing every week in and week out and killing it. But there's two guys that always stood out to me, and one of them we just talked about was The Rock, and it's because he's just so captivating. He didn't have to be the best wrestler in the world, but he made everything that much more extra, and that extra is what drew to him. Like, that was awesome to me. But the other one was Shawn Michaels, and the reason is not because he was, the top dog, or not because of the super kick, or not because of the flat hair or the women or the suits. It wasn't any of that. My favorite part about Shawn Michaels, and the thing that I emulate the most in my wrestling, is the way he sold. Everything he did was theatrical selling. He made it look good. He made it look believable. He never stopped selling certain things. There's a lot of in this day, and that's something that we can really get back. And I think that's something that, since I took that and used it and implemented it in my career, that's one reason as to why I've been able to go so far so quick, is because that's a noticeable thing, and people can be attracted to that. They gravitate towards it, like, especially when you're the underdog and you come to a promotion that's a bigger promotion, say like Warrior. When I go up there, when I first went up there, people had no clue, and then after they watched me wrestle, it was like, oh, this guy's good. And then after I went up the second time for the invitation, I was like, oh man, this guy's actually really good. And I got to do the thing with Buddy Matthews. And so you get those opportunities by actually putting in the work through all that as well. So it was kind of one of those cool things to see that, hey, it wasn't necessarily the fact that I'm an athlete. It wasn't necessarily the fact that I am a decent looking. It was one of those facts that they took notice in the qualities that I implemented in my wrestling, and it was the selling is that one thing that gravitated them towards me. So that's one thing that I loved about Shawn Michaels, and I'm glad that I have implemented that much into my career.
Yeah, Shawn was one of those guys that he could ham it up every once in a while. And there's like the top rope spot where he gets kicked and lands on his nuts. Like, some of that's a little hammy, but really the shit that he did with Bret Hart, oh my god! You talk about psychology clinic, a selling clinic, a working clinic. Like, the generation before them, Macho and Steamboat. Like, you can compare the Macho and Steamboat feud and the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart feud, and yes, they're four completely different personalities. But if you look in the ring and you look at the selling and you look at the psychology, it's not that far off.
No, it's not at all. They understood each other. That's the thing, is they understood, even though in the moments that they hated each other, they understood what they were out there to do, and they understood the business, and they implemented things based off of what the other one does. They knew what the other opponent was. And that's not something that you don't see a whole lot these days.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't see and understand like what their opponent does, or watch any tape on them to say, oh, this is what, okay, I get your character now, sweet, so now I know how to react for certain things. Like, people don't do that. They just show them like, okay, what do you do? No,
Yeah.
I do, or I can show you what I do, but at the end of the day, like, I know this and this about it. So we could do this right here. We could put this there. Like, there's certain things like that you could do.
Yeah. Oh, come on. All right. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that match that you and Victor Benjamin had at Pele, was that the first time you guys ever touched?
Yeah, it was. And that's actually a really funny story, is because myself, him, and Lady Frost, his wife, have all been Twitter friends and Instagram friends for about 2.5 years. And we've all been cracking jokes, and just picking on each other. But also, it's one of those things like in wrestling, it was a support system type thing. And we grew as friends through social medias. It was literally like 2 years later to the exact date when we were wrestling each other for the first time ever and meeting each other for the first time ever. So we got to have that match at Pele, and yeah, we just clicked. The match was awesome. Things we did in our own like way just meshed well with something that the other person did in their own way. So we had really good chemistry. I mean, I think we'd really love to do it again. And I'm going out to Pittsburgh in 2 weeks which is where him and his wife live, and they're putting on a show called Wrestle Pit there in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that's on August 20th. For anyone who's watching that's out in the Pennsylvania area, y'all can come out and watch Wrestle Pit. Myself is on it, Victor Benjamin's on it, Lady Frost is on it. I do believe Shane Taylor Promotions is headlining it, so there's a lot of good talent on that show. So if you get a chance, go out there. But Victor's a hell of a wrestling talent, man. Very underrated, and I'm glad to see that he's getting his due, and I'm glad to see he's back from injury and kicking ass.
Yeah, that dude. That night, when the promoter asked me to come out there, and he's like, "Look, I'll give you a press pass, cover the show." I was like, "Okay, we'll see what happens." But when you guys opened the show, I was like, "Okay, they're setting this motherfucker off right." Like the fact that you two hit so hard, and then it just was steady, bang, 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 bang. Like it looked like you guys had wrestled 30, 40 times before. And that's what's crazy. Like you're saying, the first time you guys ever touched, and I don't remember anybody botching anything bad. I don't remember anything that didn't look really crisp. Like, there was one point in the match. My favorite thing involving him is the Butterfinger thing that he does. And then when you're taking his Butterfinger, it was just classic.
So we were in the back, and he told me, he was like, so they brought me a lot of Butterfingers, and I was like, okay, and in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna eat one. Like, I'm gonna do something to make him mad. I'm gonna eat one. After I ate that Butterfinger and I was walking around, I had to stop to get that water. That wasn't a joke. Like, I was not thinking about the actual peanut butter contents and the granola and all that that's in, or the graham crackers type texture that was in my mouth. And I'm like, oh, I got to wrestle now.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a good time. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, it was a match that I had seen him wrestle, and when I went up there, I didn't really know a whole lot about you. But when after that match, I was like, okay, Chandler Hopkins is somebody that I need to tell everybody about because, in all honesty, I haven't been watching independent wrestling that long. So when I find somebody, I tend to latch on them. You, Victor Benjamin, and Lady Frost, which are killers. There's another couple down here in San Antonio called the Cult of Crowley.
Yep, I know they are.
Oh my God!
I was just talking to Crowley yesterday, actually.
You and Crowley would put on a banger of a match.
Yeah, I think we'd have a good time.
Yeah, like so it's real dope. Where you guys are at. Where did you get your training from?
So I actually started in a company called IWR in Ardmore, Oklahoma, which the trainers for that were Coyote Joe, or Joe Harrell, Coyote Joe, the Chickasaw Warrior, part of Arrow Club. I don't know if you ever heard of them. And then Montego Sika, who is Quinzel Pickens. There are two indie guys that have about 10 years, 15 years of experience just between one person of them. So they've been wrestling 30 years of experience together. But it was one of those things where it was just kind of a startup school. So it didn't really have a curriculum. It was, hey, this is what we're going to come in here and teach how to bump. So my first day, literally, we had a 4-hour training session. My first day, at the end of that, I had a 7-minute match. Suplexes. The finish was me doing a frog splash off the top. So, like, it was weird how fast track it was. It wasn't really like a we're gonna have a 3-month course. This is what you have to do to graduate kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I kind of got the start. But myself and Fuego were also in that training courses together. But we had access to the gym to go in after hours and whenever we wanted to. So we'd go in there, and I remember there were several times we'd go in with Dr. Tom Pritchard's book, and we'd read it, and we'd get in there, and we'd do sequences and work with each other. And we basically just trained with each other for the better part of our early careers. I mean, we were both working for IWR a lot. We were having feuds against each other. I mean, I took the title off of him. He took the title off. Actually, he took the title off of Joe. I took the title off of him in a match with the triple threat match, which was me, him, and Matt Seidel at Oklahomania 2. So it was a good place to train, and I got a good fast track on like working the way I do because I was put into positions of working 6 months into my career, Chavo Guerrero Jr. And
Wow.
he asked for the match too, which was crazy to me. And then whenever we get there and we're talking about it, he says, hey, okay, what's your hope spot, what's your comeback, and what's 2 big moves you do, your finisher as well. So I give him all that, and he goes, cool, I'll see you out there. Didn't talk about anything, and I was like, okay, this is the training I need, though. Nervous as hell, of course, but we get out there, and he made it so easy and so smooth, and the match went off without a hitch, and he puts me over, and 6 months in my career, and I'm beating Chavo Jr. Are you kidding me? This is crazy. So I had those kind of experiences in fast tracks. I got thrown to the wolves a lot early on in my career, and it was, either adapt or don't adapt. And, if you don't adapt, you're going to fall on your face. And I wasn't getting into this at 26 years old to fall on my face. I mean, I didn't debut until I was 27. So there was a reason behind doing it. It wasn't just to get out here and, I had some fun doing it. It was, this is my career path, and I'm going to put all the work into it. So I think the training basically came from a lot of in-ring work. I mean, I just hit 5 years this September, and I've already had over 550 matches. So I got so much fast track work, though. I mean, IWR was running every single week for the 2 years I was with them. So I was getting 4 matches a month, including the other bookings that I was getting to take. So, and then after my about 2 years, it just built up to where I was getting to work a lot. It wasn't necessarily the greatest matches all the time, no, but at the same time, I actually like some of those because it lets me lead and coach and kind of do my thing and learn on the fly that way as well, other than always just being told, hey, this, and that. So there's a lot of cool things that I've got to learn through my way of training, I guess. It's not necessarily just been a full course training at one specific place. It's been really a traveling type of training. Throw me to the wolves and let's learn.
Absolutely. And that seems to be, the school of hard knocks and paying your dues is a theme in wrestling.
It really is.
There's nobody better to learn how to pay your dues with than a Guerrero. I mean,
and it's crazy now because I wrestle in El Paso a lot now for EP Heroes, and every time I go down there, we do a fresh picture every single time. We go down to the bridge, we take a picture with the Guerreros by their house, that's the paint and everything, and it's crazy every time I go down there because I've met Vicky, and Vicky knows me. We've had a good time. She's a sweet lady. And then Chavo, of course, being with Chavo, him and her doing their thing at IWR as well, bringing that there. They were good role models and people in the back that could teach us, hey, do this instead of that. That's what we had at IWR. We had people in the back that were there as bigger name talents, but they were watching the show to help us get better as well. They weren't just sitting in the back chilling. So we got the critiques of the vets right off the bat. And getting to work that close with Chavo and Vicky that early, every time I go to El Paso, it's just cool to be able to take a picture with that mural.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had Dulce Tormenta on my show, and she's from El Paso.
Hey,
she's my daughter's favorite. My daughter actually dressed up as her for Halloween this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
She is one of the coolest people I've ever met. She was, I think, my 3rd ever guest on the show, and just an amazing woman. And one of the things I talked about her is, hey, being from El Paso, how does that weight? How do you carry that weight? That's a city of one of the top 3 families in wrestling history, not just WWE, but wrestling history. And she said, look, it's something that we struggle with every day. It's something that, people see. I know I'm from El Paso, and she said it's kind of a kick in the ass every day to remind me, you're representing Guerreros. You need to be on your shit, or there are people who let you know, apparently.
She's really tough too. It's funny that you bring that up because she kind of reminds me of the Guerrero toughness, because she doesn't say no to a whole lot. I've been in the back whenever she's going over certain things, and there's not a whole lot she says no to. And this last show that we had at EP Heroes in El Paso, she actually was wrestling Holiday, and I think it was maybe 3/4 way through the match. She does a frog splash off the top on the Holiday, does it really good, but her elbow comes down and hits the mat, and it dislocated it, and you could see it dislocates. She had the video of it too, and she was showing us in the back, and she was all giddy about it. She had her arm up in a cast, and she's just tough. I mean, she's tough as nails, but I mean, I think that's just how you have to be in wrestling in general. It's not only thick skin, but just tough in general. Like, there's so many tough women out there right now that are just kicking ass all over the place. Sorry, can't say
No,
that.
you swear as much as you want. Trust me, you're good.
But
I'm a big fan of women's wrestling right now. Like, I honestly, I said this to Dulce, I said this to Jasmine Allure, I've said this to a couple of people. I think women's wrestling right now might be better than men's wrestling overall, and it's because of women like Dulce and Thunder Rosa and Holodead and Genocide, Jasmine Allure, Kylan King, like, and you can't forget about the Sasha Banks and a Charlotte and a Becky and a Bailey. You can't forget any of them.
they started that stuff.
But right now, and now what's really cool is we're kind of transitioning away from it being women's wrestling, and now it's just fucking wrestling.
Hmm.
And women are having amazing kick-ass matches against men, and just, I mean, literally beating the shit out of each other. And it's not like in an abusive "I'm a man and I'm stronger than you" kind of way. Just like, listen, I'm a woman. I'm gonna take an ass whooping, but you're gonna take as much of an ass whooping as I am.
It's a
And it's
mutual respect, man. That's one thing that I love about our business is we get to be Marvel characters or DC characters or whatever kind of fictional character you want to. You get to be that whenever we step into the ring. And whenever you watch those TV shows, those movies or whatever, there's men and women fighting all the time. I mean, there's
uh-huh,
movies about women kicking men's butts because they're the badass super agent, right? Like
uh-huh.
Captain Marvel is a woman. That's great. It's showing the equality, and I like that. But wrestling is the exact same way. And we get to show that through our own kind of equality. And women and men understand that we're not out there to hurt each other, right? We're out there to, do our job, put on a great show, entertain, and have a great wrestling match. But at the same time, like women can take just as much as guys can, and they're showing it and proving it every single day. Like they're leaders in the women's world, period. Like
Yep.
just to say, hey, if men can do it, we can do it. And they're doing one of the toughest sports there is. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I did 10 years in the Army, and I equate wrestling close to the military
Thank
because
you.
you're always traveling. Appreciate it, brother. I equate you guys to the military because you guys are always traveling. You have to form this bond with people that essentially you have no idea really who they are for that long. Um, but you were talking about tough women, and we're talking about Lady Frost earlier. You talk about one of the toughest women in the world. She had broken her hand one day, and then she's in the gym the next. Like, it's insanity how badass these women are. And as a dad with a girl, it's super encouraging to see.
Hell yeah, it is. I mean, now your daughter has other people to look up to, their role models, and role model. Like, okay, I can trust this role model. Like, it's funny you bring up the Lady Frost broken hand thing because that was the day Savage and I had wrestled each other, and we're literally at the merch table next to each other, and you can just see like this look in his face, like, oh dang. And I was like, "What's wrong, bro? You okay?" And he was like, "Lady just broke her hand, and now she's out trying to wrestle and stuff." And I'm just like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Yeah, she's got to do another match for NWA." And I was like, that's the thing that I don't think a lot of people see the behind the scenes thing of, because we keep it very private, of course, but we work through injuries all the time. Like we may look like we're moving fine out there whenever we're doing what we're doing for you, but at the same time, it's just us pushing through the pain. You know,
Mhm.
the adrenaline that takes over. Like you forget about how bad something hurts whenever you got that much adrenaline going through your body. I mean, your body is basically fighting for its life at the moment, and you're putting your body through that intentionally. So that adrenaline is one hell of a drug whenever you're hurt, but we do it all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're gonna start wrapping things up. Chandler's got his own stream he's gonna have to get to here in a minute. What I do want to ask you, I want to ask a couple of more things before we wrap everything up.
Absolutely.
The first thing is we've all seen the new round of releases from the biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
Are there names on that list that you go, I can make some money with this guy? I mean, there happens to be a Limitless, Texas's own, that maybe that would be a fire ass match.
I've never got my Keith Lee match. And every time I see him work, I think of so many possibilities of the things that we could do together. Because my favorite match to tell, my favorite story to tell
David
is
and Goliath.
Goliath. I love it. There's nothing easier to do but it's also the most satisfactory match there is. Like, so gratifying just to watch a little guy take it to a big man, but the big man show respect to the little guy afterwards. And Keith is a huge man. He's a huge human being. I've stood next to him several times, and he's not a small feat. But just knowing the things that I've seen him do with guys that are way bigger than me, I'm just like, yo, bro, we could have some fun. It might happen. Who knows? Definitely going to be put on the list. I mean, I keep my own board and my own stuff, like goals of who I want to wrestle in every time I check someone off. I put another one on there. The only one that stayed on there is Davey Richards. And that's simply because that's like a Legends match that I never thought I was going to get. And then he just decided to come out of retirement. So thank you, Davey. But Keith Lee is definitely going to be on the list. One of these days, I will step in the ring with him and we'll create our magic.
Yeah, Keith Lee is. It was depressing to see him get let go because there's so much they could have done with him. But it's also like he's coming back to Texas.
We're going to see him on the indies. We're going to see him in some of our shows now. It's going to be one of those things that's going to come back. And you know what? Knowing Keith and knowing one of his closest friends and Jerome Daniels, just knowing how those two people are together, knowing the mentality they have, Keith is going to come back, but he's going to come back and teach. And it's going to be one of those things like, hey, this is the way we do it. This is the way you get it done. And he'll be the guy that a lot of people will listen to. He'll be the guy that comes back. He'll be like another ACH. He'll come back. He'll give everybody the learning, the teachings, because that's just who he is. Keith's a great guy. And I've never seen anything that's said otherwise. Like, he will come back and he'll bring his knowledge back and he'll help the locker rooms out because he wants to see everybody else succeed as well. And he understands that, you know, that's what wrestling needs. We need to grow now from where we're at and make it better. And the only way to do that is to make the talent coming up better.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's so cool about guys like Keith Lee, guys like, like Devon staying back and producing and stuff like that. And these legends running their own schools. And like the hybrid school wrestling out here in San Antonio is run by Funaki and a guy named Chris Marvel.
Right.
Funaki's been around for, God, 30 years? Yeah. And Marvel's been around, 15 years, 20 years, something like that?
I think last time we spoke, he was saying it was like 20 years he had been in the business.
So you get these guys who have 20 years plus of experience teaching the new class. That's who you want to learn from. Mm-hmm. Before we wrap up, every interview I ask this question. With women's wrestling slowly morphing away from just women wrestling to men and women wrestling, give me your top 5 men and your top 5 women you would like to have a match against.
Okay. Well, top 5 men, I can go that pretty easy. I've still got Evil Uno. I want to knock him off the list. Evil Uno is going to be a guy that's going to keep shocking the world for years. Plus, every time I've gone to AEW, he's been one of the kindest dudes to me. I always make sure I'm good, checks up on me. And I've got to wrestle him twice in tag matches already, but I want a singles match. Chris Bay, Impact. Hey, I'm talking to you guys. I've been talking to you guys for a minute. Chris Bay and I need to tear up y'all's stage. That's going to happen one way or the other. Then I've got Scorpio Sky, of course. Scorpio Sky, you can't go wrong with. That dude is a guy who's just phenomenally talented, and I'm glad he's finally getting his due. And then, of course, the last one on that list is Brian Keith, the Texas boy. I have never wrestled Brian Keith. We've never shared a squared circle together, and I want to tear it up with him. And if I have to name a 5th one, I'd say Casey Navarro. He's one guy that I am getting really close with. He's a really cool, just up-and-coming wrestler as well. He's making a big name for himself. Myself, Brian Cage, and him are all really close together, so we hang out when we're out on the road, and we talk to each other quite a bit. So, Casey, if you're listening, let's knock it out of the park.
Hell yeah. All right, so give me your top 5 women that you think you could have dope matches with.
Top 5 women. I think I'd be insane not to say Thunder Rosa, of course, simply because she's probably the best women's wrestler in the world right now, in my opinion. Not just because she's like my big sister, but that woman literally has grinded and to get to where she's at. Nothing's been handed to her. Nothing's been given to her. She has proven that on her own, and that she knows how to wrestle. I think a match with Holiday would be really cool, just simply because I know how strong she is, and I know there's certain things she could do that would make like the match the oh shit factor.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Kylie King is a girl that has really stood out to me in AEW. She is at first I didn't know who she was when I first got there, but after I watch her and watch her matches and watch how good she is just in general, I'm like, okay, she would be really fun to have a match with. I've always wanted to wrestle Kylie Ray. Never gotten a chance to wrestle Kylie Ray. I think she would be someone that would be just also someone that could teach as well because of the experience she has. So it's a woman that I could learn from as well. And I just believe we could have a 5-star match. And then the last one is one that I have a lot of respect for just because I've been around the Texas scene with her a lot, and she is a prodigy in her own word. Like, there's no woman that I think is going to be able to touch her in the next 5 years. I think she will probably be the best, if not on the verge of being the best women's wrestler, and that's Roxy. Roxy is so solid in that ring. I have never in my life seen another woman that is as smooth or is on point with everything that she does. She is just 100% a professional, and at the age that she's at, to be able to be that good, the world is going to be put on notice. And before the world's put on notice, I'd like to be put on notice as well. So Roxy would definitely have to end that out. I think she's just phenomenal in that ring.
Shout out ROH Women's Champion Roxy. Man, you talk about Texas pride when she won that title.
Dude, Texas blew up. I don't think there was a single wrestler that didn't congratulate her. Like, fans as well, promotions, like that internet just went Roxy.
Yeah, she deserved every ounce of it. Like,
Did.
I got to see her at Mission Pro, which is Thunder Rosa's promotion. Super humble, super kind. But the match, I was just sitting there like, where is this going? What is she gonna do? Is it gonna be a dive spot, or are they gonna rest a little bit? Like, it was one of those matches where like, I don't give a shit about anything else in the card right now. And what's crazy is the main event was Thunder Rosa versus Allison Kay,
Okay.
but Roxy had me hypnotized.
She does it, man. There's something about her. She has, and we say it all the time, she has the it factor. She just has a captivating personality. She's got a great look. She gets in the ring and she knows what she's doing. It never looks like she has to second guess anything. She's always got a plan of something to do. Like, she's just so solid, and I don't think she gets enough credit for it. And I think ROH seen that, and ROH was like, "Yo." And Maria Canales, Mike Bennett's wife, like she was the head of that women's talent department, and for her to see like that Roxy is just so solid, and okay, this is the girl we're gonna put the title on, like that is crazy, and that just shows the caliber of Texas wrestling at just even such a young age. Like, imagine that some of these guys that have never been seen, that have been doing this 12, 13, 14, 15 years, and they're just some of the best guys that we've got down here, but they just don't have enough eyes on them. Like, there's so much talent in Texas, but Roxy is literally one of the ones that caps it right at the top.
Yeah, she definitely is. Roxy, I need you on my show. We need to make look, I'll tell you what, Roxy, come on the show and I will personally have a customized Chaos Club shirt with a rocker that says Roxy underneath for you. Come on the show, we'll get you all taken care of.
There it is.
Young Gun, I really appreciate your time, brother. Plug your social media, plug where people can get merch, let them know the Twitch feed again.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I had a great time with you. I enjoyed doing these. We'll definitely have to do it again. I'd love to do a lengthier one with you, just so we can
Absolutely.
stuff. But you can find me on all my social medias: Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Young Gun _CH. And then if you want to follow me on Twitch, I do love to game. We've been doing a lot of streaming on Back for Blood currently right now. I will be streaming as soon as this is over with Marty the Moth Casals and Sledge from ROH. Speaking of ROH, you can do that at _pew_pew_captain_pew_.
You guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Man, you're 100% right. We're definitely gonna have to sit down and do one where we can go an hour, hour and a half, and really get in depth because this was awesome.
I would love it, man. Yeah, I enjoy doing these things. These things are really fun, and it's just one of those things like it's wrestling. I love to talk about wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, before I let you go, I always say this on all my podcasts. Mental health is serious. If you guys are struggling, please, I'm begging you, please get a hold of me. DM me. I will give you my phone number. Contact me. Reach out. Chandler too. Reach out. It is one of those things that I will never stop ringing the bell for this. As somebody who has survived multiple suicide attempts, I know what you're going through. Reach out to me. You guys, I love you more than I can tell you. You mean the absolute world to me. And remember, chaos is life, and life is chaos.